Okay, I wanted to do an Edward Snowden video to see what kind of discussion or debate we can get. So for those that haven't been keeping up with the news, apparently there's been a ex-CIA NSA employee named Edward Snowden who has leaked through the press that the US government has been spying on their citizens through their email and their phones and the internet. So pretty much the government has been collecting all sorts of information, just like in a database, just massive amounts of data. But whether or not they're actually looking through the information, we don't know that. We just know that this guy named Snowden has leaked information to the press through the UK newspaper The Guardian and the American newspaper The Washington Post. So what can this implicate about the society we are living in right now? What does it mean? It means that anything you transmit through electronic devices, the internet, your phone, your iPhone, iPad, whatever, is being monitored, it's being collected, it's being watched. You're being surveillanced 24/7 by the government. But if you're not doing anything wrong, then what is the problem? Well, the problem comes when somebody wants to come after you. It sounds paranoid, but if they want to come after you, they have all your data. So they can implicate you. They can pick bits and pieces of your history and they can accuse you of things, or they can, because it is mathematically correct, right? That's how they find the data. They have a software or algorithm that can search through your history and piece it all together. It's kind of like a profile, profiling, character profiling. So that means that you don't have any more privacy, or you might be accused of doing something that you're not, and it's a technical problem, or somebody can manipulate the technology for their advantage, accuse you of something that you didn't do. And wants to stop them from preventing something that you're going to do in the future, like kind of like a thought crime, If you've seen Minority Report or the movie 1984, all this is parallel to what the Nazis were trying to do back in Nazi Germany. They were trying to control everything. They were trying to learn everything. They were trying to pretty much be an absolute, I think, totalitarian or authoritarian government. They were trying to have complete control of everything. So in America, everyone wants to believe that they are free, but in order for that to happen, you have to kind of like live in an illusion. It's kind of like the Matrix. That's what the movie was about. You have to kind of like lie to yourself, that you are free. But at any given moment, there's stuff going on behind the scenes, there's satellites flying around in our orbit. Google knows where you live. They can zoom all the way down to the size of a stamp. This is fact from the 70s, from the 1950s. This is fact. They've been able to do this back then. So if you think about it, from the 1950s, if the technology has evolved up until now, a good 60 years, how advanced is this technology? Think about that. Back in the 1950s, they could zoom down all the way down to the face of a stamp on the sidewalk. Now what do you think they can do? So will it change the way you live? Will you continue doing what you keep doing? Does it make society a better place? I mean, what direction do you think we are headed? Well, let's go off on a tangent. Let's say America does become like a Nazi state, or that is the direction we're headed. Will children start turning in their parents? because the government, somehow brings up some kind of report saying your parents did something wrong, will children be turning in their parents? Will parents be turning in their children, to the government? Think about that. I mean, like, even if, let's say a kid has a bad day, right? He has some bad thoughts about his parents. Does the government or the cops come knocking at the door? Did they arrest the kid? Right? I mean, this is all possible. This is all modern science. You can read people's brain scan, and they have a database that you can cross-reference, like words, and pretty much, they can read your mind as it's going. The people who create this technology, they don't plan on using it that way, but they'll try to make money off of it. But I mean, it could easily be used to do that. They're trying to make video games out of this brain reading technology. I mean, that's how cold and calculating those people are. They just they don't really care whether it's ethical or not. They just create it and they want to make money off it. So think about that. I mean, let's say one day somebody cuts you off and you had the thought, man, this fucker should die, right? And the government gets a hold of this. I mean, this is just like Minority Report. If that is a crime, imagine what? The cops come blaring up right behind you, like right away, and they pull you over, you get arrested. Think about that. This is very real stuff. I mean, it's not a conspiracy theory. I mean, that's what people say who get an advantage from this kind of technology. That's the cliche they use is, you are wearing that tinfoil hat is comfortable. It's that's the cliche put down, but it's not. It's real. This is real stuff. So where is society headed? I mean, is this a big deal? I mean, most of the stuff this dude Snowden leaked, it's not not a revelation. I mean, people who are educated, they know this has been happening for past 50 years. I mean, it's not a big deal. And even if the technology wasn't created in the 50s, I mean, it's built on that. So the massive spying system, the machine, as you can call it, it's pre-existing. It's always, because back in the 50s, they had servers the size of a football stadium. For those that don't know, in the 50s, that's a lot of processing power. That's a lot of computing power. So, I mean, imagine nowadays, right? You got everything down to a solid state drive. Back then, they had a whole football stadium full of that stuff. I mean, what were they crunching, right? What kind of information were they crunching? So think about that. So in the future, where do you think America's headed? I mean, are we going to become more closed in? Are we going to become more extroverted, more introverted? What are your thoughts on this? If you want to join the discussion, leave your comments below, like my videos, or subscribe, and your opinions are all welcome. I mean, this is open for discussion. But please be civil about it. Don't be, uncivilized about it. I mean, this is a topic that will affect everyone, or it doesn't need to affect anyone if nobody chooses to talk about it. I mean, but that would be a shame, So, so feel free to leave your comments or post a response video. Feel free to post my video on your blogs, on your Tumblr, your Twitter, wherever. I mean, it's a good topic to talk about. I mean, this is America. If you don't use it, you lose it. Your freedom of speech, your freedom of expression. I mean, if you got something against the government, you better speak up, because the government is not some mythical entity. I mean, it's people. People run this shit. If they have a bias, they're going to implement it. Like if your politicians are racist and your government turns out racist, well, that's kind of your fault, because you never engaged in the government. So if you're poor and you blame the government for being rich, well, it's kind of your fault, because you don't engage in it. Because the greedy people, they take the positions of power, right? And then they use you, and then they get rich. Because you don't do anything about it. You're complacent. That's the word, complacent. As long as you have your, Nike Air Jordans or your iPhone or iPad. I mean, as long as you become an aspiring basketball player or a rapper, and you don't, I mean, you're ignorant to the world, I mean, that's kind of your own fault. Because if you go on doing that forever, you will be stuck there, and they will use you, and you don't take responsibility for your own actions. You don't, because eventually you have to take over as the adult. You have to take over as the parent. I mean, that's how societies work. You can't just always, deviate and leave your responsibilities to someone else. Because if you do that, and you're a grown-ass man, right, and you're fully capable of doing that other person's job when they're ready to retire, then that's your own fault when nothing turns out the way you want. So think about this. Feel free to comment, whatever, leave your comments, videos, like, subscribe. All right, thanks for watching.